I think it was Maya Angelou that once said that people won't remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. And when I think about narcissism, I think people are struggling, is this person I'm in a relationship a narcissist or not? And they listen to what they say and they look up definitions and so on. I would encourage you to listen to your gut. How is that person making you feel? Instead of asking yourself, is this person a narcissist? Ask yourself, what is it like to be in a relationship with this person? Narcissism is not necessarily, it is a pattern. It's not just something that pops up every now and then. So everyone can be selfish, defensive, or insensitive at times. What we're looking for is consistency across time and situations. And it shows up in how conflict, responsibility, and attention are handled. One key pattern that I would look for is, do you often feel confused after speaking with or having some sort of an interaction with that person? Conversations leave you second guessing oftentimes when you're talking with a narcissist. You replay interactions trying to figure out what just happened. There's subtle distortions. It's not always obvious lying, but there's certain things that, wait a minute, that's not how I recalled it, or that's not how I read that particular thing. And then you're left feeling a little confused. So I would say feeling frequently confused after some sort of interaction with that person might be an indicator. You find it hard to get accountability. They don't admit they're wrong very often. If they do, their apologies are often shallow, brief, or even strategic. They're there for a reason. I might apologize to get this behind me so I can move on to something else. Responsibility often gets redirected or diluted. Things like, oh, I'm so sorry you felt that way about it, rather than taking responsibility. I'm so sorry that I did that. And sometimes you end up even explaining your reaction to their behavior rather than having them explain their behavior to you. That's another indicator. Third, you become the regulator. You monitor your tone. You feel like walking on eggshells often, timing and wording to avoid their negative reactions. Their emotional state oftentimes dictates the interaction, and you're doing more emotional work than they are. Key pattern number 4, image over reality. They need to be right, they need to be admired, and they need to be in control. Public behavior may not always match private behavior, so you might see them being very kind to everybody else, but then to you behind closed doors, it's a different story. Criticism is treated like a threat, not a feedback. Saying to them, hey, I noticed, when you said this to me, XYZ, it made me feel disrespected and so on. That could be taken as a threat. And the threat is their loss of control. Another important distinction is that a difficult person is not necessarily a narcissist. People can have occasional bad behavior, but that doesn't make it a pattern. Sometimes people can react in certain ways, not out of narcissism, but for other reasons. Maybe they're in some grieving or going through a difficult time or tired. There's a lot of different reasons why people may behave in certain ways. But remember, narcissism is a pattern. It's repetitive, it's predictable, and unfortunately, it's oftentimes resistant to change. So you don't need a diagnosis to take your experience seriously. Listen to your gut. How do I feel after talking to that person? Do they take ownership of things that they do or say that hurt me? And what is the impact on you is more important than the label. So instead of saying, oh, my husband or my wife is a narcissist, my husband or my wife make me feel certain ways. And that's enough right there. That's something that we can get a handle on. And that's something that you need to pay close attention to. So if you feel consistently confused, responsible, or diminished in the relationship, that's a signal that you need to pay attention to. Labels can wait, but your clarity shouldn't wait. Thank you so much for taking the time. If you have any further questions about this, I would encourage you to check out my book, When They Won't Change. It's found on Amazon. I have a link to it in the description below. Thank you.